Hey guys, welcome back. We've got my friend Chris Waters here on the program today, rock star team leader, and he is going to have some fantastic nuggets for you and some ideas, some strategies. As always, if you're watching for the first time, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like if you like what you see, make sure you click the like button there. But Chris, welcome to the program, man.
Jam, thanks for having me on.
Of course, anytime.
You're
We're
getting
just
a lot of
starting.
momentum on. I see you on the Apple iTunes store, and
Yeah,
uh, you're approaching 100 episodes, getting close.
getting close. Yeah, we're right. We're trying to grind down to that. That's a hard number to crack. But we're going to get there. Um, we were just talking before about the success of your team and how you've grown it. And I said, wait, don't go any further. Let's capture this. So just to kind of unwind a little bit, how did you start in the business? I mean, you've been in it for 20 years now. Walk us through that process.
Yeah, I got licensed in 2006, right out of college, and joined Keller Williams as a buyer's agent. And a combination of I got chewed up and spit out a little bit
Yeah.
within 90 days. Like I started closing a lot of deals really fast. And in 2006, maybe some people will remember this, maybe some won't, but that's the time when Google AdWords launched.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the team I was on gave me, 100 plus leads a month. And I figured out really quickly that there was a proverbial ceiling to how many deals I could close because there's only so many that are going to close per 100 deals. I mean, per 100 leads.
Yeah.
And I was kind of frustrated that there was this proverbial ceiling. I was a young, ambitious person. And I took a little hiatus from real estate. I went and joined an independent brokerage and was kind of part-time and got in the oil and gas industry. I was a 21-year-old kid,
Yeah.
And so I was doing that and I was doing the leasing thing. I'm sorry, oil and gas leasing and selling homes part-time. And I made a lot of money and I invested in this bar and restaurant in 2009. 6 months later, went bust. I had chains around the doors and I
Huh?
and I lost like a couple $100,000 in money I had saved.
Brutal.
And so now I'm at this point I'm 24, 25 years old and I'm beyond broke and I owe so many people money.
Yeah.
And the only thing I knew how to do was sell homes. And so I was this true story. I basically couldn't afford rent and I was too
Wow.
proud to go live back with my mom. And so I asked my girlfriend if I could sleep on her couch. And so like it was only supposed to be 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and we kind of crazy funny story. We ended up getting married and built a life together.
Wow.
Um, but that was 15 some odd years ago, and so in that very humbling time, when I'm dead broke, working on this red IKEA couch, I was just so focused and
Mhm.
went all in real estate and kind of burned the boats and started selling lots of houses. I get up to like 13 closings a month.
Wow.
And but then it got to a point I was spending a lot of money on lead generation. I need to hire agents to help me. Plus, I needed to make more money because I had like the Lebanese mafia trying to come track my ass down because I owed the liquor store so much money from the bar and restaurant because of unpaid bills.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, long story short, I recruit 20 agents, and that first year in 2010 was of my team was a complete disaster. We sold, I don't know, some people might view this as a lot, but we sold 98 homes. But my personal production took a big hit. I only sold like 40 homes, and then there was one other guy out of the 20 that sold 40.
So it's
And
10 to
so
everybody else.
so literally the other 18 agents sold 18 houses.
Yeah, that's about right for the industry. It's about one deal a year, right?
Well, I was so much in the trenches, I didn't know what was going on. So I remember my CPA calling me and I was kind of anxious about getting that call, wondering how much money I'd owe. And I wasn't paying attention to books and all those things. And he's like, "Hey, Chris, great news. You only owe like $2,200 in taxes or something really small." And I'm like, "Oh man, such a sigh of relief." And I was like, "How is it so little?" And he's like, "Well, it sure does seem like you spent a lot of money supporting all these other agents." And I was like, and then I, ran the numbers and I was like, man, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to support all these agents and they didn't, actually generate any profit. So I went to that other guy that sold the other 40 houses. And I was like, hey, how would you feel about helping me? You lead the buyer agent team. I'll focus
Mhm.
on the listing agent team. And in the subsequent 24 months, we went from burning it down to doing 325 closings in
Wow.
2013. We netted $1 million. Like that's what we pay taxes on.
Yeah.
I wrote this memoir about that 3 year time period because I've had so many people ask me about it.
Yeah.
You can find this on Amazon. I wrote this like 7, 8 years ago called The
Love it.
Million Dollar Real Estate Team. And so, anyways, yeah, and then 2014 started helping other people expand in other markets and um, opening up more like corporate teams across Texas and you know we're at a place where we do over 8 figures in
Wow.
gross commissions and make make net profits are very healthy and
Yeah.
I've hired a president, high level MBA kind of guy that has taken over the business. And I've spent the last couple of years on the tech side, just focused on how to help, you know, how to help agents more predictably find success. Um,
Mm.
because I got spit up and chewed out so fast when I was like
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
I've always had this like very altruistic component of me that has felt like, man, I want to help because the industry has so much churn. It's
Hmm. Yeah.
like what I don't even know what it's some crazy percentage of people turn over every 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, I think I had probably one of my greatest breakthroughs a year ago, and I think I discovered why.
Why? Tell us why. Now I'm curious.
So, I mean, there's a segment of the population of agents that turn over that quit because, they just decide they don't like sales or life changes. But
Right.
then an even bigger population of people that leave because they just can't find success.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
what I realized is in the big epiphany I had about a year ago is brokerages, all of them, like most of them, generally speaking, all do a really good job at training and onboarding agents. I
Hmm.
mean, I think most brokerages teams, most of them do a really good job with training.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, agents get all this training, but then they don't succeed. And it's like, what is it that's preventing them from taking the stuff they learned and putting it in place and taking action? And I used to think, agents are lazy, they don't want to make phone calls and all these things. And then it kind of dawned on me, there's like a couple of flaws in our industry, but the biggest one is like, in most industries, when somebody gets out of training, the companies have this enforcement loop. It's
Hmm.
basically, like in any other industry except the real estate one, like someone goes through training,
Yep.
then you have somebody go out in the field with you and
Hmm.
do ride-alongs with,
Yeah.
the agent to meet the buyer and the seller.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody that like listens to your calls and walks you through like the customer success stuff. And the other thing is like, I know people are going to listen to this and they're like, oh, but we do that for our group. But the kicker is like, people don't do it in perpetuity.
Yeah.
They stop after they have been on the team or brokerage for like 60 or 90 days. And so like, everybody is guilty of this, myself included. Like you stop inspecting what you expect. And so it's this enforcement loop that is
Hmm.
this like missing component that is what ultimately has caused the high turnover. And I started studying the real estate brokerage industry and I reached out to some like real old timers that have been around for a long time, like Dave Liniger and Gary Keller. And I'm like, hey, tell me about the real estate industry back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And there was a huge shift in the industry in the 70s and 80s to being based on building a business based off agent count, not agent productivity.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so back in the day, like literally like 1920, 30, 1940s, 1950s, the enforcement loop existed because you spend a lot of time with your agents.
Yeah.
And, the agent to broker ratio was not some crazy number.
Right.
And then it kind of became this claim to fame with the franchise model of like, who could have the most agents per designated broker?
Hmm. Yeah.
So like when that shift started happening in the 1980s, it just seems like all hell broke loose and we started, having just crazy churn in our industry.
Yeah.
And so the only way to fix that is, you know, to have the enforcement loop. And
Hmm.
there's been this, huge thing called AI that's happened.
Yes.
And so what I've been working on for the last several years is uh, basically creating an agent mobile app. And the agent mobile app digests phone calls and it
Hmm.
digests in-person appointments.
Hmm.
And it's like an AI note taker. But
Gotcha.
the difference is we've uploaded into the brain of the AI 10,000 plus hours of training content. And
Hmm.
we've uploaded a grading rubric for how a buyer phone call should go, how a seller phone call should go, how a buyer appointment should go, how a seller appointment should go. And so literally right after you hang up the phone or right after you get out of the appointment, you're getting all your AI notes, plus you're getting a summary of here's three things you did well, but here's three things you need to improve upon.
That's great.
And so you get that immediate enforcement loop to know what you did wrong. And then the other thing we have on the app is all your KPIs, like how many calls you make, appointments set, met,
Mhm.
won, and all that.
Yeah.
And like, there's lots of tools out there that do that, but like
Hmm.
the truth is all those reporting tools, it's just like observation.
Yeah.
And it's like and you're a coach, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a lot you talk to an agent and like some of them don't even have their KPIs and you can't as a coach you can't see them. And so
Hmm.
when you see those conversion rates, you can kind of diagnose exactly where the problem might be. Maybe they've got a bad lead list, which is causing their contact rate to be low, or
Yeah.
maybe their face-to-face conversion's bad, which means they need a better listing presentation. So you can kind of figure out little bits and pieces when you look at that. But like when you think about again the churn rate, I ask myself, what's preventing them from gaining confidence on the phone to make those phone calls? What's
Hmm.
preventing them from converting leads? Because they're going to meet somebody that needs to buy or sell.
Yeah.
Um, and there's 2 points of failure for an agent. Like no matter how much money you spend on leads, there's 2 points of failure, and it's what you say on the phone and
Hmm.
what you say face to face.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much tech, how many leads you have. Like if you screw up those two intersections,
Doesn't matter, right? Yeah.
you're SOL.
Yeah.
And
Love it.
so, anyways, there's I was there was a lot of tools out there that we've used, like these KPI dashboards. I've seen these AI role playing partners and stuff. And so, like, we basically just took all of them and put it under one roof. Like, we have an AI role play partner. We listen to the calls. We listen to the appointments. We send out the reports. They also go to the TC to help them with objection handling and role playing. And they go to the coach, so the coach can be like, "Hey, let's talk about how you can fix that."
Yeah.
Um, and then there's the leaderboards and gamification side. But anyways, that's what I've been working on for the
Yeah.
last
It's interesting. It's very
couple of years.
fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
And when you bring up the enforcement loop, I taught a class. I taught at a convention in Australia a while back, and their model of real estate is completely different than the United States model. In Australia, at a lot of offices, when you start as a realtor, you don't get to go out and sell real estate. All you do is you walk in and you're like a cold caller, basically. You have to go out and you got to make like 100 calls a day, and you do that for 6 months, and you get really good at making calls. And then you graduate up to like a junior associate. And so all the leads you generate, by the way, you're handed off to senior associates, senior folks. And then as a junior associate, 6 months in, you still don't get to go out on appointments. You're calling for half a day, but then the other half you get to go out with the senior guys and sit with them and watch them with buyers and sellers. And then 6 months after that, then you move up to actually being able to work with a buyer or seller. And it's kind of similar to what you're talking about, is that you have to have this kind of background of what does it take to be a successful agent, and a lot of agents don't get that. They don't have that enforcement loop, which I think is brilliant, smart.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're describing, like, is probably the ideal ladder for somebody to go through.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, in our industry, there's just not a lot of opportunities to be like in that full-time inside sales role. A lot of
Hmm.
brokerages, there's not that many brokerages with it set up like that. I mean,
Right.
there's quite a few teams, but it's just the income and the opportunities are more, just there's less of them.
Exactly. And what is interesting about the team model, and I think if you look at a team as a mini brokerage, is what it is. The team model, there is more enforcement because the team leader can enforce more rules because it's either you do what I say or you're off the team, right? Whereas a brokerage model, it's a little bit different because you're right, they're more body orientated and are a little afraid of enforcement, honestly. And so they're afraid to say, "Hey, you do this, that, or the other, or you're gonna you hit the bricks." So I think there's a little bit of a dichotomy there for the brokerage owner versus the team leader.
Yep.
Team leader, I feel like has a little bit more control. You agree?
And yeah, but also what's interesting is like with teams, even the job of the team owner is like pretty wide, like you're
Hmm.
wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where, you're not going to have enough time to do the ride-alongs and listen to the calls. Like, just you're not going to have enough time in the day.
No.
When I published this book, I had, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 people buy it. And I had, I don't know, a lot of people that messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm stuck at so I described the growth journey of a team.
Yeah.
The early climb is from 0 to 150 deals. Awkward teenager stage is 150 to 300. And then 300, I'm sorry, 150 to 300 is explosive. I'm sorry. God, I'm screwing it up. Let me start over. 0 to 150 is the early climb.
Yeah.
150 to 300 is the awkward teenager. It's the awkward teenager because you got a lot of different people wearing a lot of hats, and you don't know like who's going to do what long term.
Yeah.
The wheels may start falling off the bus operationally. And
Hmm.
then from 300 to 500 is what I call the explosive growth stage, because usually what we found is it happens very fast. It can happen in a matter of, you can grow from 300 to 500 deals in like 12 months. And then I called at 500 plus, you should have enough revenue where you could, as the owner, have a leadership team that runs a business without you. And so I call it the great escape.
Yeah.
There's some nuances there based off of your sales price and the commissions in that area. But anyways, everybody that was messaging me said they got stuck around, 120 to 200 deals.
Hmm.
And what I wrote in the book is I said it's really difficult to grow beyond that early climb without hiring like your first wingman as a sales leader,
Yeah.
because you can't spend enough time helping coach the agents on your team. And again, with teams, same deal. Like they probably do a better job than the brokerages, but you still get to a point where the wheels start falling off the bus once the agent's been there for 3 to 6 months, because they're going to stop doing the ride-alongs, right?
Yeah.
And so you really, and then like, man, so my group's personally using this. So I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Um, there's like this resentment that happens between the team leader and the agent because you're constantly critiquing them, and
Yeah.
it's like this parent-child relationship. And so what's been really cool for us is the um the agents are like being led to self-discovery, because there's no emotion when the AI says like, "Hey, you failed to do an adequate job preparing for the appointment to come up with the pricing, and you
Right.
weren't viewed as a subject matter expert."
Mm. Yeah.
And so like I've seen so many reports now, and I see all the like one will be like, you skipped the entire report building stage. You didn't really understand why they were moving. You didn't say,
Hmm.
what's taking you didn't go, multiple layers deep to understand the real motivation, and you didn't build trust. You just went straight to like, here's pricing and sign the listing. And
Yep.
you're wondering why you didn't get the listing signed. So anyways, that's been a super helpful one, is using this AI tool to lead agents to their own self-discovery.
How does it work? I'm just curious from a logistical standpoint. So do you have it listened to you when you're in a listing appointment?
Yeah, so there's you open up the mobile app and you literally just hit the record button, and then
You have to get your client's permission to do that?
so there's a couple states where it's a two-party consent state, but I've had a couple like I've got about, I don't know, 20 or 25 groups around the US that are using it right now, kind of in a pilot stage. And whether it's a two-party consent state or not, we've asked people when we walk in the door, "Hey, do you care if I use this AI note taker?" And no, we have not gotten a single person to, you know, object.
Right.
And
I
it,
guess
and, it-
when you frame it like that, that's pretty easy. Yeah.
and you can even send the notes to the seller, because it's like this really all the long bullet points. I mean, so like when like great, there's a tool out there that grades phone calls, and like grading phone calls is important. And I'm not discounting it. I think you have to do it. And our mobile app does that too. But like the real juice is in the face-to-face meeting because that's 2 to 3 hours. The
Yeah.
face, it's like a long appointment. And so that's a lot of information to digest. Like the average listing appointment that we transcribe and create reports for agents to go for the AI stuff. If you look at the raw text, it's 800 pages at 12-point font
Wow.
for a two and a
That's,
half hour listing appointment.
it is. That's like a novel or longer
It's
than that. That's like two novels.
it's an 800 megabyte audio file. It's massive,
Yeah.
and that's a lot to summarize. And
Hmm.
so I mean, when you basically what happens is when you walk out of the appointment, there's a report that goes out to the agent, and it's all of the things that happen in the property, things about like the property itself, like any risk factors, anything about seller's disclosure notice, things the seller says they're going to fix or that they need to get done.
Yeah.
There's a whole section for you to give to your transaction coordinator, like, hey, make sure you get a copy of this document, seller disclosure notice, survey,
Hmm.
affidavit about so there's a lot of juice in there. Surprisingly, the transaction management team I have, like I've got this one lady that's been with me for 14 years. And she's like, Chris, this is the most amazing thing ever. I've never been able to do my job so well until I got this. Um, and so anyways, there's a lot of, really cool things that have come as a result of it.
What's so you got your tool, which is amazing. What other tools are you using AI related for your team now? What's your favorite kind of go-to stuff? Are you using OpenClaw? Have you started using that agent centric kind of stuff yet?
Yeah, so we've built a couple AI agents that will literally put the listing in the MLS. They grab the photos autonomously from G Drive, like
Hmm.
literally just click, everything gets saved as an incomplete listing, and you're done.
Nice.
We've also created an AI agent that will,
And you're doing this in OpenClaw? Is that what you're using?
we're not using OpenClaw. We basically created a container within a folder on a desktop.
Hmm.
OpenClaw it's great. And I'm sure that's what's going viral all over the
Yeah,
web. It's
that's what he's talking
OpenClaw.
about. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of, we're in the midst of building a lot of different AI agents right now, and
Hmm.
it's really fascinating how much we're getting done autonomously now.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
I
Interesting
mean,
stuff.
it's like reducing everybody's time by like the amount of time it takes them to do things by like 80%,
This
90%.
makes you way more efficient, I think, and it allows you to focus more on what's important, right?
I'm impressed you know about this because like I feel like most of the industry has no idea what's coming down the pipe with
Oh,
autonomous
it's
AI agent.
insane. Yeah. I mean, I can see it where, an agent will wake up in the morning and the agent will have already sent out letters to all the FISBOs, all the expireds, all your farm, email newsletter has gone out for you. And it'll tell you the top 10 topics to record a video on based on, Google traffic. All that stuff's coming like a freight train
Yeah.
within the next 24 months, maybe 12 months. And
Yeah,
so these agents and teams that are ahead of the curve are going to crush it. The other ones are going to get left behind.
man, it's yeah. I mean, like we just cut our operating expenses $39,000 a month from just a couple of the AI agents we built.
Wow. That's
I mean, it's
great.
like it's crazy. It's wild, man. It's an exciting time. What's happening
Yeah.
on the tech side?
Yeah, interesting. So you're still leading this massive team, right? You got somebody that's your right hand man that's taking over for you. But what are you going to continue on that role? You're going to continue growing your team out? What's your goal?
Yeah, so I mean, we're in 4 different cities. We got licensed as a franchisor, so we have a operating put playbook as a franchise for people that want to buy our kind of model and copy and paste it.
Mhm.
We're in about half a dozen markets around the U.S., one in Canada. But I've got a great leadership team in place: the president, director of marketing, director of sales, director of operations, head of finance. So we have a great leadership team in place running that. And my full-time thing is having fun on the tech side. And yeah, I consider it fun because it's so exciting what's going on in the AI world.
It is fun. It's super fun. Talk to me about because my niche is recruiting, so I'm a recruiting specialist. Talk to me about recruiting agents, just from your perspective, just real quick. Any top tips there for you have for people out there recruiting?
Um, first, like nail your value proposition.
100%. That's great. You said that. I'm always about that.
And it's like, I don't know, like, if you nail the value proposition, like making the phone calls and like, generating ads and stuff, like running ads on social and stuff, like the value prop just kind of does the job. So,
Sells itself. Yeah.
um, like for my real estate group, my value prop is my agents, all they have to do is go on an appointment. So like
Mhm.
we paid for the leads, we booked the appointment for them. We have the field team, courier, photographer, stager, listing manager, transaction manager. Like literally they have to do, we always tell them, a listing agent, you have to do three things. One, win the listing. Um, uh, two, make weekly success calls. Three, be involved in anything that requires influence. So, for
Mhm.
example, contract negotiations, price reductions, inspection negotiations, like anything regarding influence. Like those are the three jobs. We literally take everything else off their plate.
Great value prop.
They don't have to be in the, like my agents don't have to be in the CRM. They don't have to book appointments. They don't have to spend money on leads. They don't spend money on tech. They literally wake up. We book 150 listing appointments on average per listing agent.
Mhm.
And their conversion rates, my lowest performing one's converting at about 41, 42%. My highest converting one's at 61, 62. And that's why
Nice.
our agents, consistently average 60 to 120 closings per year.
Which is interesting. I think this model you're talking about, I've talked to a lot of team leaders and office leaders across the country. There's been this shift toward, ultra high splits and, kind of pushing all that money towards the agent. And then the agent doesn't really invest in the tools and tech and frankly lead gen. And then they don't have any leads, so they're closing two deals a year and they're getting 95%, but it doesn't do anything good because they're not closing any deals. Where I think that the model that I'm seeing super successful people start to implement, like what you're doing, what I'm hearing, is that you're kind of taking the hardest part, the lead gen, and you're figuring that dialed in and just putting them in a position of just dealing with a client. And I think that that is a very appealing to people. And I'm assuming, you're fairly compensated for that. And there's a good fair split where you're making money, but they're also closing a lot more deals than they would normally, right?
So our listing agents get paid 10% of the gross revenue on
Mhm.
a 6% listing, and then they get
Wow.
paid 15% on a 7% listing, our premium option.
Wow.
So our gross margin at the end of the year, our gross profit's 85%.
Wow. Incredible.
But
Incredible. But
my
they're still making more money than they would any other way, right?
my worst performing agent's still making about 150,000 a year, and my best one's making 300,000 a year.
There you go.
That's
So,
net. That's net net. That's what they're paying taxes on.
wow. Wow.
And they
Incredible.
and they go on like, 2 to 3 appointments a week.
Mhm.
They have a whole team behind them. I mean, it's yeah, and yeah, I don't know, it's a beautiful system.
A great model. I love it. I love it. Now, do you use for just, you don't have to give away all your trade secrets, but are you using like ISAs for this appointment setting? Or are you getting online leads? What is your lead flow coming from? What's the funnel?
Yeah, so
In general, you don't have to spell it out exactly, but
no, no, no. I'm man, I think I spelled a lot of it out in the book. So, basically, it's truly like an omni approach. So, um, we do radio, television, billboards, OTT. You have to remember, I'm spending like, 2 million bucks plus a year in advertising.
right.
Um, so we're doing all, radio, TV, billboards. I've got also on the digital side stuff running across Meta, Google Display Network. And so like I'm kind of doing it all.
Hmm.
I think the most, if anybody's listening, and we're booking a couple hundred listing appointments per month.
Wow.
So, but we're spending a lot of money to make that happen. But that's not how it started for me. Remember, I was on the red IKEA couch on 2010.
Right.
So
That's like
the
15 years ago, right? That's not that long ago.
the key thing that I think should be a paradigm shift in the industry is I feel like we've gotten brainwashed by these a lot of these tech companies that generate leads. I feel like we've been brainwashed that we should just accept the reality that it takes 1 to 2 years of follow-up for these internet leads.
Yeah.
And if you're ever going to build a successful, scalable, predictable, and like highly profitable business, if you're going to build it on lead sources that take 1 to 2 years and you really expect agents to follow up with them for 1 to 2 years,
Never happened.
it's never going to happen.
Mm. Yep.
So, like the key thing to focus on is our high intent leads.
Hmm.
And so, like on the listing side, I always recommend starting on the listing side. So on the listing side, people always sell because of major life events. And so it's they inherited a house.
Yep.
They might be going through probate proceedings or whatever. Maybe they're going through a divorce,
Yep.
maybe they're facing foreclosure. I mean, those three life events equate to like 50 or 60% of the reason people sell.
Yep.
Um, and then, your move up buyers, those are a little bit harder to target. There's some key things you can do to target them, but they're harder. And so I would just encourage anybody that is, listening to your show that is thinking about where do I go to get faster converting leads that convert at a higher rate, um, to, be mindful that there are very specific lead sources and there's a finite number of them in every market. Obviously, another one's expires and withdrawals and for sale by owners.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but there's a finite number of them. But what's great about those lead sources is everything that happens within those life events is public record.
Hmm.
So we use you guys can go to about to sell.com.
Hmm.
Yeah, about to sell.com. And basically what the tool does is you put in the county you serve
Hmm.
and it will scrape the county website and pull all of the filings for properties facing foreclosure.
Hmm.
It'll pull all of the divorce filings. It'll pull all of the probate filings from the county courthouse websites.
Wow.
And then
Incredible.
they enrich those with email and phone.
Wow.
And
Nice.
so
Okay.
you can do with that data, you can do some really cool stuff. You can obviously do direct mail. I'm a big fan of, if you're going to do direct mail and you only want to send one piece, make sure it's not a postcard. Do handwritten, not post.
100%. Hundred
If you're
percent.
going to send multiple a sequence, then do a postcard.
Yep.
Um, and then the latest kind of innovation in marketing is OTT. So
I was going
that's
to ask you how that's done for you. Do you get success with that?
oh man, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we've split tested it for 2 years now in different segments. We've tested OTT specifically with retargeting people that have come to our website.
Yep.
And and the way you track that, the way you know that it's actually working is you do one of two things. One, you can there's a platform we use for OTT and it puts a pixel on our website, so we know exactly when they come to our website, and that's how we track the retargeting ones. But the other thing we saw that happened as a result of
And just
OTT.
let's explain what OTT is for the average user just out there. You go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, so and you might hear a couple different terms like OTT or CTV. Basically, it's all the streaming apps on your television.
Yeah.
So like YouTube and Netflix, like Hulu, like all those apps on your TV.
Yeah.
Um, they have a different ad platform and how you
Hmm.
serve them. And OTT stands for over the television. And so you can run ads on those. And what's amazing is like the platform we use, I can literally just put in the property address and serve an ad to that specific person.
Crazy, isn't it? It's
And
the
so you
tech is
don't have the
amazing.
same privacy challenges with like Facebook, for example, or Meta.
Hmm.
And so anyways, OTT, so what happens is you can look at what's called your website visitor to lead form completion ratio. So how many people come to your website and actually fill out a lead form?
Hmm.
And if you do retargeting right, you should be able to take that number from 2.5% to 5%. So
Wow.
from 2.5 to 5.
Double.
That may sound insignificant, but at the top of the funnel, if you double it, you've just cut your lead costs in half.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, like for example, if you've got 1,000 people that come to your website and you have a 2.5%, that means you've only got 25 leads, right?
Hmm.
But if you implement retargeting, and I'll talk about costs in a minute, and now instead of 25 leads, you're getting 50 leads and you spent pennies to get them.
Hmm.
And so the question is going to be what's it cost? So what's amazing about OTT is in marketing, there's something called the CPM, which stands for your cost per thousand.
Hmm.
And like if you were going to go send out a thousand letters to somebody, you're going to pay $1,000,
Easily.
right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
your cost per thousand is literally $1,000.
$1,000. Yeah. Or more.
But with OTT, you can literally serve 1,000 of your TV ads or commercials, whatever you create, for $32 on average.
That's crazy.
And so you spend pennies to get people to come back to your website and
Hmm.
double your number of leads for, again, pennies. So anyways,
So are you, just so I understand your flow, it's people that are landing on your website, you're retargeting them backward using OTT. So now they're going to see you on their televisions while they're watching,
that's right.
what they're watching at home,
Yeah,
which
they literally will leave my website, and then that night they're going to go watch something on,
boom, you're in front
Hulu,
of them.
and boom, there's my TV ad.
And then if you just, I mean, just from the average user, you just got to think about that because now you are in front of those people just constantly, right? It's just like it's a loop. Retargeting loop just it really builds brand recognition so quickly.
Yeah, so we're using OTT, plus we also do Google Display and social. So we're hitting them all over the web, plus we're also
Yeah.
doing OTT. We just recently started testing direct mail. So when we attach their mailing address, so this is another little hack I'll give everybody. So you can get the anonymous visitor traffic data, like the IP addresses,
Hmm.
and you can append their home the IP. You can append to the IP address the person that visited your website, their actual home address,
Yeah.
and you can also append email and phone. And so you don't want to call those people because they haven't filled out a lead form.
Right.
But what's amazing is we started doing this, and it like this is a conservative estimate. Our number of leads that started coming in increased by 12x
Wow.
because, and I'll explain why. So you know, I've gotten my visitor to lead form completion ratio up to consistently 4.5 to 5%. The industry average is 2.5. I'm willing to bet anybody listening to the show, if they go check theirs, I bet you it's around 2.5 to 3%, best case. You got to do a lot of these little things to get that number optimized. So another thing you can do again to optimize this further is you have all this website traffic coming, and a lot of them aren't going to fill out a form. And you can take that anonymous visitor traffic with the IP address, get their home address, and send out just post, handwritten letters or postcards to them
It's amazing.
for, for
Love it.
for super cheap. So these are all like little retargeting mechanisms.
Hmm.
Um, we use so I'll tell everybody what we use. So about to sell.com is how we get all the fast converting lead data for sellers.
Hmm.
Um, all the anonymous visitor traffic conversion, you can call or go to. I don't even know if this is on their website, but they do it for me and a couple other people. It's a integration platform called RealSync,
Real sync. Okay.
and so you can go to realsync.com and ask them in sales, like, hey, can you give me the anonymous visitor traffic? And they will take the IP addresses, they'll enrich those IP addresses, and then you'll get the mailing address and phone number. And what's cool is, so like I'm trying to give you an example. Like I had a guy in Indianapolis we work with. He's generating about 300 leads a month, and he he started getting his anonymous visitor traffic enriched through RealSync, and his database started growing. Normally he was getting about 10 leads a day. And he called me up like last week, and he's like, God, what was the number? It was like, it went from, man, it was insane. I like want to say he told me he was pacing 1,500 leads
Wow.
from
Incredible.
300. And so um, now you got to be careful when you say lead, because they haven't filled out the lead form.
Right. Right.
But and so the lead quality is not that great. You don't want to call those people, but like it supercharges your email database.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so like Mark, the guy I'm referencing, like, he's got a smaller team, and he was like started getting 50, he went from 10 leads a day to 50 per day. Like,
Wow.
yeah, he told me last week he's pacing 1,500 emails added to his database from appending the email address to the IP address using the software RealSync has. And so, anyways, um, Yeah, so about to sell, RealSync, the conversational intelligence stuff I was talking about earlier, that you can find on the Apple Store, and it's Table OS.
Table OS. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Table.com was taken. It was $2.3 million.
Can do that. Table OS. And that's your platform, right? The Table OS? Got
Yeah,
it.
so that's basically like all your KPI tracking, role playing partner, gives you, tells you exactly what you did right, what you did wrong. It's the AI note taker.
Love it.
It integrates with your CRM, integrates with your dialer, all that stuff, connects to all the CRMs.
Love it.
Sorry, I'm just diarrhea. I feel like I'm diarrhea of the mouth here with all
No, no,
these.
no. This is all golden nuggets, man. This is all high level stuff. I love it. Just one more question about your specific team. So do you have ISAs calling or not at all? It's all just online leads that get converted and then handed off to your agents. Is that how it works?
No, so my agents don't get handed any leads. So the only thing they get are face-to-face meetings. So when
Appointment
they,
set.
yeah, so like they prepare for the appointment on their calendar and they go on the appointment. They don't even call to confirm. So
Wow.
we have inside sales agents that take the inbound leads
Mhm.
and convert them. I'm going to give you guys some crazy stats. Um, and for anybody that thinks I'm BSing, you're welcome to fly down to Austin any day you want. My office is at the corner of Mopac and 2222, and you can meet with our inside sales team. That's where they are. But our lead to appointment ratio is 1.6 to 1. So
Wow.
for every 1.6 leads, we get one appointment.
That's insane. That's great.
So
Yeah.
and so the way we are able to do that is we focus on only high intent leads.
Mhm.
There's, like for example, on Google, if somebody types in, what city are you in? Jim, where do you live?
I'm in Medford, Oregon, small town in Oregon.
So if someone typed in like Medford, Oregon homes for sale,
Yeah.
like I would never in a million years go spend money on ads to go get the buyer that's typing that in
Hmm.
because they're best case 6 months out from buying a house.
Low intent. Yeah.
So everything we spend money on is only high intent leads. Like if they're not going to transact in the next like 90 days, I don't want them, I don't want them, I don't want my ISAs calling them.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I mean,
Just what?
when you flood the ISA team with too many leads, then the ISA's efficiency goes down.
Right. And they get burned out. Yeah.
They get burned out, like, they don't earn enough money personally because the number of deals they're contributing is not enough. Um, it's just, and then their pipeline gets full after like 90 to 120 days with all these leads that they have to nurture for the next 12 to 24 months.
Right. That was my next question about nurture. Is that your timeline, 12 to 24 months on nurture? And that's kind of what you expect. But you're
We're,
doing high intent, so you're more like 6 months, 3 months.
so all of the leads that our ISAs work are going to, on average, most of them are going to convert in 90 days. It's funny you mentioned this. So we actually just pulled this number for 2025. We were like, what percentage of the total number of appointments we set were a result of long-term follow-up? And it was less than 10%.
Wow, interesting. So it's
So
almost not even worth it.
nine out of 10 appointments we set are all people looking to transact in the next 90 days. Um, and then, 1 out of 10 are people that the ISAs put as a nurture and they save in their, database.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Fascinating. Um, for the team leader out there that's just starting, like, okay, what's my step one to model Chris? What would be step one for somebody out there like, okay, I want to just take a baby step towards what you're talking about, just so put it out there. Or
Baby
opposite.
step, dude, baby step one, like stop buying all these crappy low intent leads that these CRM companies are selling.
Yeah.
Uh, Go get high intent leads. By the way, they are cheap. These leads are so cheap
Wow.
compared to the stuff you buy with like PPC. Like you can go on about to sell.com and I think you pay about $250 per county for all of the probate records. You can pay $250 to get all of the divorce records, $250 and you get all of the facing foreclosure records, and they're enriched with phone numbers, and it tells you which ones are in DNC and which aren't, and you
Hmm.
get, their mailing addresses. And so for basically $750 in the county, you know which ones have a very high propensity to transact.
Right.
That that's step one is going and getting the people experiencing the life events that really need your service.
high intent. And you compare that to paying 40% to Zillow for one lead that, after grinding through 200 to
Yeah.
close one deal, it's a 0.5% now.
I mean, yeah, Zillow probably does have the better, conversion rate of a lot of the tools out there, but the only reason it's better is because they don't have forced registration like most of the broker websites.
Right.
I mean, that's a key difference. Like broker websites, they force the consumer to fill out the form after they look at a couple photos.
Right. Right.
Whereas Zillow, you have to voluntarily do it. And so that is what causes you to have that higher conversion rate.
Yeah. Interesting. Very fascinating. Chris, if somebody wants to learn more about you, what you're doing, all your stuff, how do they do that?
Like they can, if you want to, this book's a little dated. I feel like I need to rewrite this book. But if they want to, read about my story, this is like between 2010 and 2013, that time period of me building a team.
Yeah.
And you can find on Amazon. I have a landing page where you could probably just send people and they get the book for free. Just cover the cost of shipping. I think it's $1,000,000realestateteam.com. It's like a long name, but it's like to get the book for free. You can
Okay.
go on for free. They can look me up on Instagram. They can DM me. And yeah, tell them to, check out Table OS. And yeah, I mean, I'm an open book. I love this industry, and it's been very good to me. And I'm just here to help create a positive impact. So
I love it, man. You dropped a ton of like super valuable nuggets that these agents and team leaders can go out there and crush with. Thank you so much for taking your valuable time and spending it with us today, Chris.
thanks, Jim.
Thank you.